Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Turn Right Machine Works. My name is Keith, and we're here boring bronze castings again, and we are actually working on the pair that was cast from that strut. And I'm going to bring you on over to the strut and the sample. We have one in here. I'm going to show you how I set it up to actually bore for the bearing, and that's what we're doing. We're getting ready to finish up on the bore for the second one here, and then we'll start laying out and we'll do the whole pattern. We get 2 set screws to go on the side and we press the bearing in. All right, so let me let's go on over and let's take a look at the exterior of the casting itself, comparing it to the one that we filled in all the spots there. And we do have a finished bore on it already, and this one is on its way out there now. We had to get these rolling because of the that we always have to be the catch-up. The foundry takes their time and they have certain pour days, but when it comes out of the foundry, it's a race for us. I mean, we never get the, oh, you know, we'll take them in a couple weeks or so. All right, I don't get that luxury. As soon as they hit the floor, they go, you know, you working on them yet? I think it's like that in every machine shop with every project. All right, let's take a look at these. Okay, we got them side by side here, and the first thing I do is I look at this flushness right here, and by the material that we added in here, the beef of the palm stays the same. Also, that center distance from the bottom up to here stays close. That's what we were talking about as far as that center line of the bearing. We measured up the overall widths, and they're all within about a 1/16 of each other. And now we went ahead and we took our sander and we hit over the top of our holes here so that we could get in from the end, in from the edge, center to center, and we can duplicate this whole pattern into these struts here. The rest of it all really does come out nice. All right, let's go ahead and let's take a look at actually how we set it up in the vise there to hold it in line to bore out the bearing diameter. Now on the big end, it's actually, I shouldn't say the big end meaning the outside diameter, okay? And this comes in a little bit. There's actual gap in here and gap in here. All right, so it's actually kind of like touching like right in here and here, and then it tapers back as it's going. When we're first setting this up, we're setting it in here, and basically you're going to be pivoting on the fat end, which is like right in here. But we're gauging from that outside into the bore, from the bore down to the bottom and over to here on this side here until we get an equal position there with our boring bar. And then as we cut, we might do slight adjustment up and down the side to side to compensate for actually running true with this end. All right, now the other end is a little bit it's the same theory, but we have to take up the gap so that we create holding support so that it's not tight on this end and loose on that end. So let's go around to the back side and take a look at that. Okay, on the back side I use machinist wedges. Now machinist wedges aren't put in here and there. I mean, I do tap off and on, and I might loosen one, move one, and adjust them. But we don't hammer these basically in to make them tight. We put them in place to where they're snug fit, and then when we're happy with that and we're snug at the other end there, we tighten the vise, and the vise tightens up on everything. And then we make sure that this one in here is not going to vibrate out. And the bore to the jaw, bore to the jaw, bore to the bottom of the vise down in here, that is the measurements that we use to center this up. And then we drive the wedge to align the casting with the bore. So it takes a couple passes, but then we get a happy medium to where we're coming true with this edge, and true with the front edge. All right, we're just about ready here to start another cut. So I'm going to fire up this machine here, and now I'm going to adjust my boring bar, and I'll show you on the next cut actually adjusting it. We're taking 50 thousandths per side. That's 100 thousandths total on the bore, just under 1/8 of an inch. We bring it in by hand until we just barely touch the beginning of the bore. And we put it in auto feed. Alright, there's the end and the auto shut off. Alright. It starts getting close, so we measure this with the snap gauge. Just draw it straight through. All right, it's about 1/400. We're going out to 1 5/8, so we can crank in another 50 thousandths. So let's do that. We like to stick our mag base back here. We set our dial there at 0 or close to it. We're not nitpicking this dimension right now. And then we go ahead and we crank in 50 thousandths. This Chandler head, duplex head here, has, when I got it, it was 100% in pieces. It was missing the little dial and stuff here. I've had to remake the screw. That's in one of my videos there. And a couple other things, but this head still operates perfectly fine. This green tape is wrapped around a layer of lead, and that keeps the harmonics down. Alright, so we're all set. We're ready to go again. There we go. While that's running over there, we come over to the fore job because we have these tiller heads, and they get a cross hole here and a bored out hole here, but they got to fit the top of the tiller stem with the bore here, and we finish off this to register in the mill for our other operations. Alright, so basically what we're looking, we're going to fore jaw this, but we look at it, we see 3 sides are pretty close, exactly the same thickness here, here, and here. So we set that up in our jaw to where we look out here, we look out here, we look out here, and our jaws are set relatively close. This fits in between here, just happens to fit in between on my fore jaw, which is really nice. Now, we need to hold this flat, so we got to look at what we have here to grab on. Now this surface here doesn't match up exactly with this one here with a slight little slant right here, so it wants to like pitch it. So what we want to do is, we notice that you look at it and you look at a straight line right here, we see that the underside of that and the top side of that are perfectly in line with each other. So that's what we're going to eyeball those in with the face or the edge of the jaws. Okay, face there. And we go ahead and we turn this one down in as we pitch that slightly like that. That's good, that's good. Okay, we bring this one in here slightly to the side like that. Bring a little tension in there. Okay, that looks pretty good. Well, it's not dialed in yet, so we're bringing our surface gauge here. And we like to set it up to where when we're sighting down, we get to see in and out play this way with that edge. And then we move our carriage in and out. We move it in and out towards the chuck as well. Okay, looks like we need to go that way just slightly. We'll open this one up here just a little bit. Okay, we're a little tight here and a little open here. Okay, I like that. This face looks good. Double check our tension all the way around just so we don't have a loose jaw. Okay, we eyeball that. This is sticking out just a little bit, and this is sticking out just a little bit there. We're happy with our square. All right, how's it look turning? There we go. All right, let's pick out a boring bar. Okay, I got my boring head, and one of the first things I do is come all the way inside here, and then I want to touch that bottom so I know where 0 is down there, and then I set my travel dial on my lathe at 0, so I kind of know that I'm getting close just in case I can't quite see in there. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to touch this on the side, and I'm going to go ahead and lead in with about 10 thousandths here, and I'm going to give it some feed here, and I'm going to take a face cut across here. Okay, we came out to the end here. We see that we're not cleaning up here, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to take another 15 thousandths here. We just want bare minimum cleanup, and if we leave a little tiny witness mark, we'll leave a little tiny witness mark. This insert might be a little dull. It's starting to really roll over a chip here. Okay, that's just going to feed off until it finishes cutting across that tab that sticks out. Was in between cuts on that one, decided to change inserts in this one here. I had a D&M G, which is a negative geometry, and this is a G&M P, still in a negative rake, but it has a positive action on the insert there, and I like it a lot better for working with this stuff here. And it's still the same geometry as far as the radius on the end, so we shouldn't have to worry about changing any of our dimensions. All right, we get nice face cut across here. Normally I like to leave a little witness, but it just happened to take it all in that 15 thousandths there. Okay, give it some feed here. and some right direction. All right, now we have two diameters that we're going to be actually boring, 5 at 2 inches 355 and 5 of them at 2 inches 382. And we're just kind of touching off and getting a feel here. And there we go. It's about 20 thousandths. We're going to go on down to the bottom, that depth that we set. Okay, I'm going to have to raise you up a little bit so you can see up over the top of that tool clamp. I'll catch that on the next cut. Okay, we've done 6 of these. This is like our 7th one. All right, and as we get going, we just learn to set this in here so that we got that nice and square there. We double check here, making sure whether we tilt in or out. And then we just take the play out of those 2 jaws right there. Those are the 2 that we loosened up last time. Take our surface gauge, come in here, and we set it here so that we're going to work this jaw here. Okay, roll it around. It's pretty close, but we're going to knock this in. Okay, all right, I think we're just gonna go and tighten this up. This one here seems to be pretty close to the last one we just did. Just double check it again. Yep, that looks good. Let's spin it. Okay, looks great. Okay, we gotta change our direction here. Okay, take a face cut. Okay, once I know that it's not touching all the way around here, I'm just gonna show you. You got low, you got a little spot skipping there or there. I just kind of bring it in here. And then I touch off, I read my 0, I crank it on in here. And then I go ahead and go. And we'll go straight across with this one. And if it cleans, most of it should clean up. And if it doesn't, then we'll just let it go as a witness. Okay. That's almost all the way around. I'm not going to bother messing with that. That's good contact. I know that I'm going to be sitting down on my other jig to do the holes and the rest of it. Okay, so that's leaving a witness mark. We like that. Now we come in here, we go down to the bottom, and we touch. We set our 0 here. Take a first cut, about 50 thousandths aside. 200 to go. Another 100. Should start coming down the bottom just about now. Okay. Okay, we're going to take 40 here. That'll leave us 10 to finish. All right, and our last cut here is 10. Okay, now we go ahead and we put it in our D&M style cutter, and we come over here and we're just breaking that edge and we're all set. We just loosen the top jaw and the jaw on our side, and we're ready to put the next one in. Okay, we went ahead and laid out this whole pattern to match the pattern on the old one. And this is a 3/8 drill. And we have a long reach because we come in next to these hubs for the cutlass bearing. And sometimes you need that length to get by it and the narrowness. Sometimes we got to flip these over. If the strut is leaning to one side like the other one we have up there, we have to drill from the bottom and then come back with a countersink from the bottom side. Coming to the end. Okay, through. Okay, this is my long reach countersink for the 3/8. This diameter right here is the right diameter, so I don't have to think too hard. I can just bring it on down. All right, so I bring it close so I don't have to hand crank too far. All right, I'm gonna Okay, now we laid it down on the side and we took the center punch and we punched two holes that are going to be set screws that are safeties for the bearing. The bearings are press fit. Okay, now when they installed these new ones, that's when they found that these were cracked. So there's their dimple holes from the other one. and I chose to put my 2 in here. I didn't want to get out here where it was thin, and I didn't want to get too close to the ends. No biggie. I just think just playing it safe. And once in a while you get a grabby bit, and that's what you get. Alright, my chuck key. Okay, we'll get our long reach needle nose. The drill is sticking down a good inch into there. We'll just have to take a picture of that. Hey, sometimes you get lucky and you break loose these ostrich drill bits. See, they hide their head down in the hole there. All right, pretty cool. Okay, let's grab the other half of this. Now, I was pushing on that, and when you're pushing on it and you're going through the other hide, manganese bronze is tough as steel sometimes. And when you pierce through, get ready, it is going to roll with you. This didn't have a flat on the end of the drill bit, but this drill bit here is probably 8 years old. Okay, this one here, we put a couple flats on it. So it won't be so grabby. All right, now we'll go for the virgin hole. Okay, now we'll just tap those out by hand. Okay, now I'm going to tap these, and this is a gun. Well, it comes out better without the lid on. All right, a couple drops of Tapmatic. This is a 2-flute, quarter 20 national course tap, and I get it started like this, and then I hand it over to my tap hand. This one here can keep true and run with the axis of the tap. This one here has a hard time doing that. So I just use this hand here to drive all my taps because it can go straight on in. Now the gun tap is 2-flute, and it has an angle to the nose of it, and it pushes the chip down. Now this hand is okay taking it out. There's no pressure or anything else like that. It's funny how you can break a tap and you go, well, the last 50 holes I used that tap on, it and had no problem. You got to tap a lot of holes to get the feel of a tap. I broke my share. I'm not going to say I've never broke one. I'll never say I never broke a drill bit either. It's always when you're horsing off, you know, or somebody's watching. Oh, you guys weren't watching? Well, if I cut that out, you wouldn't have been watching. All right, we're ready, we're set. We're gonna press in those 2 cutlass bearings now. Okay, I got a stack of spacers here to hold this on the butt end here, so I don't have to actually physically hold this thing in place. Sometimes you got to do a balancing act here to get a bearing to come in here. All right, so okay, should flush out. We should have no problem. Sometimes you. All right, here we go. Most of the time when you got a press fit like that, these set screws are just for visual effects basically. But if you had one that was in there and it was loose, meaning to the diameter, but it didn't take a full press in there, you could almost tap it in with a rawhide mallet. You need to drill and dimple these in here so that you can get a lock secure so that the bearing's not going to travel or rotate in the housing. Okay, we've already got the bearing in, and we're just going down in here. All we're doing is giving it a slight little dimple. You saw how you saw the press that I put in on that bearing, and both of them were the same. This is the second one here. All right, we got that, and two brand new stainless steel set screws go in here, and that's the final touches. Okay, we finished boring all of our tiller heads out, and we got them sitting over here on the mill table waiting and ready. But while we had our boring jig set up, we have another strut. This one here is going to actually, this one here we're going to be shipping out to San Francisco along with a rudder. But this setup is in here, so I'm going to go ahead and bore this one out here today, and then I'll change out my setting later on, and I'll put in those tiller heads and finish those up. So I just hope you enjoyed seeing the finishing up of those struts that we made by just filling in the cavities and prepping out for the core in the upper section of that strut. They've already been picked up and they're on their way to the customer now. So that's why I say that things come in here from the foundry, and it's bam, bam, bam. All right, until next time, get her done.